Jimmy Dore is kind of creating the dum-dum version of the other argument that's going around in the Glenn Beck world and stuff. So this is huge ripple effects of today's oil market instability is the name of this article. And it says, what exactly is going on with the oil industry, the petrodollar, Russia, China, and the U.S.? Professor and economy expert David Buckner joins Glenn to break it all down. He explains how oil sanctions have caused massive market instability. And he details ripple effects around the world, especially the U.S. dollar, may experience as a result of it all. This is, I think Jimmy wanted to get a video up, a bit, pretending he knows what's going on. Also, this is cut from, I think, a similar show as we saw yesterday, or they keep going to Sonic. Now, I guess Glenn is hooked on Sonic right now. We shall see.
I want you to break down. By the way, David is a professor adjunct. Are you adjunct or are you full professor yet?
No, I'm a full professor, but adjunct at Columbia University.
Okay.
I'm a full professor, just not at the place where you say I'm a full professor.
Columbia University, you're the president of Bottom Line Training and Consulting. You train CEOs and companies on how to run their business better, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, if it wasn't for this guy, CEOs wouldn't know how to CEO.
It's been institutionalized in the program that you created for Columbia University, and it's now taught in every region of the world.
Yes, and every CEOing is taught in every region of the world because David Buckner figured out how to CEO.
But you understand economics like few do, because you can cut through the BS.
Great. Let's get so why is he on your show?
I am having a hard time getting people to understand what is happening with Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, India, and what's happening to the petrodollar and why that's important.
Yeah, do you get the feeling that Jimmy Dore watched this video and went, ooh, people are going to click on this and they're going to see something else, so we should make one too. Do you know what we're talking about? No, I don't. So neither does Glenn. Didn't stop him.
So where should we start on this, David?
It's a powerful transformation that we're watching. And yes, unfortunately, to your point, most people are not privy to understanding a little bit of the history. So very simply, Glenn.
They're not privy to understanding a little bit of the history. The secret history. Because you're not privy to it. You haven't gone to the privy. When the architect that designed this home was designing the privies, he said to himself, Horatio, for 'twas his name, let's make them functional and fashionable. What about the privies? It's the latest in open-air orifices with a wide capacity gutter below. You mean you crap out of a window? Yes. Oh, good. I hate those nasty indoor things.
You started back in 1944, the desire to make sure that...
Motherfucker. This is like when people bring up Ukraine and they're like, in 1990, decisions were made that were like, motherfucker. These people are doing shit today because they want to do shit today. Will you stop it? Just stop it.
But kind of from this post-World War II period, the Bretton Woods relationship, or the Bretton Woods conference that led to the dollar being linked to gold was a standard by which we had a currency where we could exchange with something that was underlying. It was substantive. So that was easy.
It was substantive until people realized gold just a pretty rock. Actually, certain ceramics are better for superconductors, better than gold, but not pretty.
People could see that. They go, okay, when I'm exchanging paper, I have something substantive. I have a mineral that supports that.
Yeah, a mineral with no inherent value, except for its attractiveness. What if I don't find gold attractive? What if I like wearing silver? What if we have governments where people no longer wear crowns to show they're in charge? I like a pretty rock, good.
Then in
If you eat gold, you shit gold. That's it.
1972, when France actually started calling in our bluff and exchanging dollars for gold, which was linked at, I think, $35 the ounce at the time, that's when Nixon took us off the gold standard. So that kind of became Bretton Woods 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we took the dollar and linked it to our exchange of oil. So we call those petrodollars. It was always linked to the value of oil. So
Okay,
that
No, it wasn't.
wait. That's when we did that in 1972?
That's correct. 1972 to the present is what we would call the petrodollar. That's where the U.S. dollar was linked to the price of oil.
And we said
so
at the time that you can't buy oil anywhere in the world outside of U.S. dollars. That was the only currency that would buy that oil.
And that was the currency by which it was it was a nominal currency by which it was quoted. Okay.
All right.
So
No, Glenn, to answer Glenn's actual question that he just asked, that asshole just dodged, no. You could buy oil in other currencies, but a lot of people wouldn't take your dumbass currency.
the exchanges went between currency A and currency B, it was always through the quotation of a U.S. dollar. So that linked us to
Because we were the stable middleman in this.
that exchange, which really was no longer a hard asset like gold, but it was
A hard asset. I don't want to be a hard asset about this, but this is bullshit.
we would call inside money. Everybody agreed that it's going to go through a term, which is the dollar, using that as the foundation, even if I was exchanging from a euro or a ruble or a yuan.
The euro didn't exist at that point. And the yuan and the Iraqi dinar, for example, these people wouldn't take each other's currencies because they were bullshit.
Okay, but
The only reason the yuan and the dinar has any value right now is because it's stabilized by the existence of the fucking dollar. Take the dollar out and everybody's fighting over, yeah, my money's worth a lot. No, it isn't. Why? Because you can only spend it in your country. No, you can't. Yes, you can. Fuck off with this nonsense.
dollar was the anchor. Now,
And the world
Right. The dollar was the anchor. It had weight. It had substance. It could keep your keel from blowing away in a storm, Glenn.
hang on just a second. The world was upset at us in 72 because we had promised them that we would always, in Bretton Woods 1, we would always keep to the dollar, standard with gold. And
always.
And then when we violated that,
Yes, like bastards.
we did the oil thing, and then we also said, but the good news is we're going to be consumers. So we'll...
Yeah, that's what we said. We just said, yeah, but hey, we're gonna be consumers. We just told everybody we're gonna consume stuff. We didn't actually get rich as a country before we got old as a country, which is the trick in history. That's what you want to have happen. We didn't actually do that. We just told everybody, hey, we're going to consume. Don't worry about it.
Start shipping jobs your way because we're just going to buy. We have everything we need. We're just going to buy your stuff now. So we'll build your economy.
Yeah, that's how it worked. That was exactly what the conversation was. We told everybody we're going to build your economy. No, we protected the world economy as it grew. The only thing is you had to side with us against the Soviet Union because you could either join the communist regime and wait for them to supply all your needs, or make your own way in the world, and we would make sure that your ships didn't get sunk for nothing, for free.
Right?
It was a global, yes, to your point, Glenn, it was the way of saying that we depend upon this being as stable as you do. So we're all in
Which is true.
together, okay? So that
Which is true. It isn't what we were saying. It's actually true.
you're right, there was an anchor that even though we've gone off this mineral, this gold, we've gone to something that we can't let fail and you can't let fail. So kumbaya.
Right. It's actually better than gold. It's mutual trust. That's required. Crazy.
We're all
As opposed to magic rock found in mountain. Jesus Christ.
together.
Right.
So
Right, he says. Look at him leaning back like, I'm considering this. Oh God. You know, when I talk about gold and things like this, I get all, there's just so many thoughts going through Glenn Beck's mind that Glenn doesn't even Glenn when he wants to Glenn the way he needs to Glenn. When you're becking and you're trying to Glenn, and Glenning when you're trying to Beck, it's so hard. Let me consider this. What's gold? Is everything that glitters gold? Can glitter itself? Is glitter a currency now?
even though they were upset with us, they bought that principle of trust.
They didn't buy it. They participated in it. And it fucking works.
That no one could betray each other because, well, we all need oil, right?
No. We all need goods. We all need food. Oil is a part of it. We have oil. We have gas. We sell it. We have more than we need. We've always had more than we need.
So that leads us to where we are today, which is this, and I call it the thesis because it really is, it's transitioning, but we're in a vacuum where we go to Bretton Woods 3, okay, which is the next step.
Great. Let me guess. Glenn turns this into Bretton Woods 3 is really, if you think about it, the Great Reset. Have you bought my book yet? The Great Reset? I wrote it with this other dude who comes on as a guest because he ghost wrote it for me. It's a horrifying book. And the cover has Biden and Putin on the front of it. And if it doesn't sell out, we've got to change the cover or reprint it. And I don't think we're going to because nobody's buying it. But if you got a wobbly table, it's great.
That next step now shifts us to something that just occurred this last week, which was sanctions on the very element that we promised would be the bedrock of exchange. When you sanction...
Yes, when you sanction oil, you fuck the whole system. No, you don't.
Right.
Oh, God. When you sanction Russian oil, especially when you're moving off of oil and you have enough of your own, you fuck with the markets so that we all transition to a time when we're not fighting resource wars anymore because no one needs them. Imagine a world of renewables where nobody can fight over the amount of sunlight they're getting.
Good or bad, that's a policy. That's above my pay grade. I'm an economist.
Yeah, I'm an economist. I'm not going to say it's good or bad. Saying it's bad is Glenn's job.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Based upon
Dun, dun, dun. Or, unless they're completely removed from the market, like through the SWIFT system and other areas where, yes, it's cheap, but you can't buy it if you're in the global economy, and that includes China. So if they buy it and it's sanctioned, then they're bucking that, and then they don't get the other benefits of being in this system, which is based on mutual trust and all this other stuff. And there's nothing stopping you from being a gangster economy. Go fuck yourself. Nobody cares.
So now you create...
Oh, the audio is out? The audio went somewhere? The clip audio went someplace? Hold on.
what we call arbitrage.
Clickety pop and Glenn is silenced? That's weird. Did it come back? You heard that one? So weird. Pot causing hearing loss. It came back? That's so odd.
The concept that you don't have stability. There's no stability like gold would have given us.
Jesus Christ. Well, then if it was based on gold, then you'd have to sanction gold trading from Russia. You don't think that would fucking happen? If it was based on gold, nobody could stop anybody. We'd have no economic recompense in this situation. And you know what we'd have? You know what we'd have, Glenn and Dave? You know what we'd have? We'd have wars all the time. Because we wouldn't have an option to do economic sanctions, because it would be based entirely on the value of gold, which was necessary for everybody's currency to mean any fucking thing, which is what we had before when we had the gold standard. When we had the gold standard, the only way to stop a country from doing shit like this was to blow it the fuck up. The fact that we have a giant trust-based system allows for sanctions as a possibility. Is there a give and take in it? Is it precarious? Of course it is. Is it less precarious than bombing the fuck out of a country? No.
Even
Jesus.
petrol would have given us before.
Because gold would have held it.
Carter says, we do have wars all the time, though, Hal. We don't have World War IIs all the time. And civil wars internally in countries like Kenya and other places, or what's going on between Yemen and Saudi Arabia, for example, or Russia and Ukraine, are territorial resource wars, but they are not these and we have options in dealing with them that we did not have when we were on a global standard.
Value no matter where it was from, and you had that value there in your own home country?
Authentic and organic, yes.
Authentic, organic, useless, pretty rocks that everybody could point at and say, that's money for real. I'm sick of this gold bullshit. It's been around for all post 9/11. These ads all over the place. Don't forget, buy gold, have your money in gold. But gold is real money. No, it fucking well isn't. This is not the 14th century. The crown jewels and the gold that houses them is not how you recognize authority in a country anymore. Badges don't have to be real silver and real gold to have meaning. We operate on an adult system, not pretty rocks.
No, the U.S. carried the largest amount of gold, which is how we negotiated the dollar to be linked to that gold, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because, yes, all fiat currencies were originally based on that because there weren't any other options, because there wasn't international trade. And yet we used to use shells for money too. Shells were real money. I mean, you had to look at them if they were really good. They had to be really good shells.
You still could mineral. I mean, right now, China is the one that is mining more gold than any other country in the world. Okay, so you
and lowering the value of it as a commodity.
Still could mine that mineral and you could have it. But when we linked it to the dollar, will be linked to oil in.
By the way, China is mining for gold like crazy right now. The more they would put on the market, if the dollar was linked to gold, the more that's out there, the value of the dollar would go down because of the volume of gold that exists. The more gold other countries put in the system, the lower our dollar was worth. They had control of it, not us. What kind of an idiot has a currency that's based on a standard for a rock that's available all over the fucking globe, and anybody who finds some can dig it up and go, I have some too. Your money is worth less. Jesus.
The way in which we barter and negotiate, and then we change the pricing of that oil based upon sanctions. We just threw Bretton Woods II or the petrodollar into the tank.
No, we didn't. And again, if the premise is that we did, there's a giant fucking who cares. At some point, I got news for everybody. At some point, oil as a commodity is only going to have value in the excess parts of it that are used to make plastics. There was a time when aluminum was more valuable than gold. And then they figured out how to get it out of bauxite, and now it's cheap. At some point, we're not going to use oil as a fuel source. We just aren't. We're moving towards that. And the move towards net zero and the move away from like coal and all these things like that, and natural gas itself is going to lower the price of oil and the use of oil. The volume that is actually used is going to go down to make it a boutique commodity. Something that is used that you and I would talk about in the same way we would discuss it less than lithium. Lithium would become a more valuable commodity in that regard. And even still, we just discovered a shit ton of it in the Salton Sea here in the United States, in California. We have enough lithium in the Salton Sea and an equal amount in Wyoming for electric car batteries for the next 50 years. And we won't even be using lithium batteries in fucking 50 years.
Threw it away. It's gone. Now, can it be recovered? Well, if sanctions were to go away today, you might be able to recover, but now you have enormous instability in the comfort level of the world.
Yeah, that's what we're worried about. The dollar is tied to comfort.
Saying, wait, if I buy Russian oil, it's really, really cheap, and I can't because sanctions say I can't. Black market enters, okay? Or now I can buy expensive Western oil, which we shut down the pipelines and other things based upon individual policies of countries, right?
Yeah, they're talking about Keystone, which, by the way, was 8%, 10% finished and wouldn't have finished for another 4 years, zero effect. Plus, it doesn't stop the actual stuff from getting to market. It's just a delivery system. It's not the goddamn pumps.
But that's very expensive. So what do? What do you have, or who do you have that can come in and fix this arbitrage?
Well, one of the things you can do is demand destruction. You can move your, say, consumer cars completely away from oil.
This difference, there's nobody large enough, most hypothesize, except for China.
Venezuela, again, Anwar supposedly has a lot, but we don't need it. There's plenty in the United States. There's 9,000 fucking permits that haven't even been drilled yet in the United States.
So what does China do? They can go in and buy Russian oil cheap. They could sell Russian oil expensive. And now
we've created a profit. The Communist Party of China is going to engage in war profiteering in resale of Russian oil. You know, it's the same plan they had with, it's what India did with Australian coal in China. Remember when China had its moratorium on Australian coal because, Australia. And so Indian companies were buying it. So China was buying it from India. Yeah, it's a great system. And it's definitely easier and better, and they'll just get used to it.
A completely different monetary basis. No longer is it gold, no longer is it oil, it's commodity.
Oh, oil is a commodity, but I get what you're saying. Avocados, blueberries, cobalt.
So we shift into a completely different monetary system based on commodities.
And then everybody has to behave because nobody gives a fuck what's under your ground. It's only what you can grow or invent. What a crazy notion.
Which the U.S. no longer has.
I'm sorry, what? We don't have commodities? You're kidding, right? Why the fuck do you think China imports most of their food? A bunch of it comes from us.
Voice. It can offer commodities, but it no longer controls the narrative.
Oh, that's what it is. We've lost the narrative. And that's why we need Glenn Beck's book, The Great Reset. And
that changes an entire monetary system whereby the dollar now either becomes incredibly worthless, or the dollar could become weaponized, where the dollar becomes useful to the U.S. amongst its friends.
Yeah, one or the other. It either becomes completely useless or a nuclear bomb. There is no middle ground, Glenn. And this is all because we made the horrifying mistake of sanctioning Russian oil and gas and vodka and caviar and diamonds and oligarchs' yachts and stuff. I mean, why can't we look, for the stability of the oil markets, why can't we just let the Ukrainians die? Why can't we? I mean, is it too big a price to pay, Glenn?
So those that we exchange dollars with, that becomes a dollar-based economy. Those that China exchanges with, that becomes a commodities-based economy. You end up with two completely different monetary systems.
We already have one. It's drugs, human trafficking, all that shit. That's what Bitcoin grew on. That has always existed. And you know what? A lot of that shit is traded in not American dollars, but counterfeit American dollars. Russia, Iran, and Venezuela produce most of the counterfeit money in the world. The counterfeit, not just American dollars, but that's the primary one they work on. So all of the devaluation that happens to our economy happens because of Russia, Iran, and Venezuela's impact in it. Now, there's a lot of organizations within China, the Triad and others, that do this kind of stuff too, but it's not coordinated with the government the way it is with these other three countries. And they use those dollars for the underground economy that we're talking about. They still use US dollars. They're just fake. And the existence of those lowers the value of the US dollar. If they remove themselves and operate completely on some sort of, subterranean view, but they can't use US dollars to do it, it removes all of those fake dollars from the system and buoys the value of the American dollar because it's not flooded. Good Lord.
And a world disrupted without...
Professor Wolf, Karen, is a moron and a liar. Richard Wolf, I assume that's who you're talking about. Richard Wolf is an idiot. He talks out of his ass.
Any continuity that was established in Bretton Woods 1.
Okay, so yes, it does so far.
So, okay, you've confused Glenn, and he needs to start over again because there is no way he's going to be able to get to pushing his book, The Great Reset, if you keep talking, David.
I'm going to take a quick 1 minute break, let you catch your breath, and then...
Let you catch your breath. And I've got a brain cramp right now, Dave. And so if you could hold on a second, I'm going to take a big pull off this Sonic root beer that's calling my name. Chuck a couple of French fries in my face because the end's coming. Who needs a diet? And we'll be back.
I want to understand, yesterday, technically, Russia went into default because they had to pay for their bonds in dollars, but
right.
Couldn't change their rubles into dollars. And I don't understand exactly.
Oh, no. No, Glenn. It's not that they couldn't. Oh, no. It's that the ruble is worthless. Yeah, how many rubles you would need to convert into dollars is effectively the problem, not the conversion itself.
How this works, but I do know after a 30-day waiting period, what this has made the rest of the world say is, wait, I can't trust the central banks, the Western banks, because...
Yeah, how am I supposed to invade a country and strafe bomb it if these assholes are going to climb? How am I supposed to erase an entire religious and ethnic group from my country if I have to acquiesce? I mean, who am...
Because if I have the money, but they won't let me pay for it.
Yeah, they won't let me pay for it because I'm in the middle. Look, you don't understand. I'm in the bank, and yes, I'm currently robbing it, and I've just blown the manager's head all over his desk, and my buddy over there who's new to the gang, and he's a little edgy. His name's Wayne something or other. He's trying to pick someone to sexually assault before we leave the bank. But I would like to make a deposit since I'm here. If that's possible, can I just take the money we're stealing out of the vault? Having only murdered 3 or 4 people, can I just put that right into my account and then just withdraw it at another branch? Because, I mean, there's cops outside and we're going to have to shoot our way out. And carrying a big duffel bag full of money, especially if you could possibly put, I mean, here's the thing, man, you can't put a die pack in an ATM. So I'm just saying, do you mind?
Then my gold and everything my money is not safe outside of my own country.
Well, no, it's completely safe as long as you don't send armored columns of tanks into other countries for the fuck of it.
Can't just do that.
I can't just do what I want to do. I can't send in Chechen murderers just to wipe people out. I can't send in hit squads. And are you telling me that violates the terms of service of this bank?
That's my understanding of it, but I don't think I have it right. And
that's evergreen. That's what that is.
I'll ask you to explain it here in just a second. All right. So David Buckner is with us. David, did that question even make sense that I just...
I don't know what the question is, if he said it during the break or something, or what he was lurching towards in the last bit. Did you? Congratulations, Jimmy Dore. We found someone just as fucking dumb as you.
asked you?
Yeah.
At least he knows better than to try and mispronounce Chinese currency names.
In fact, Glenn, as you stated the question about trust, right? And the idea that people can't rely upon, or even countries can't rely upon or trust the system.
Yes, you can. But part of that trust is based on, hey, I won't send armored columns of tanks and troops into a neighboring country and claim it as my own. If you want to play in our sandbox, you can't take a dump. It's a sandbox, not a cat box. What the fuck is the matter with you? You're not even a cat.
System to pay. You're spot on. Think about it
No, he's not.
this way. You have central banks that have always relied upon the fact, whether it was the gold or petrol in Bretton II,
Here's the thing. I don't get why the breaking of the trust in this system isn't Russia's fault. Does anybody have they offered any of this bullshit as reasoning that the trust that was broken in the international monetary system that somehow breaks it down is the West responding to Russia's attack on Ukraine, as if this was just a hostile takeover of a company? You know, they just bought a company and some of the people had to be fired. Like, they're treating the attack on Ukraine, or even in the case of China, the Uyghur Muslims, as like employees that were pink slipped, not wiped the fuck off the face of the earth, and are currently happening. While Glenn's sucking on his Sonic, people are hiding in basements in buildings that are collapsing on top of them. And this asshole's like, I don't know, this is a violation of trust by, the U.S. government. I mean, how are you going to trust them again? Why? How can you drone strike or pelt with rockets, residential blocks, and then somehow there's some sort of, what, you tell me I can't use my debit card anymore? What is that?
relied upon the fact that they could liquidate. And pay their bills. We just froze when we talk about that, the sanctions that have been imposed. We've frozen the reserves, and Russian reserves, now frozen, are effectively creating, as you noted, the inability for Russia to pay its bills.
Okay, all right. This might be the most amazing part of this whole thing, because what Glenn and his guest are suggesting is that money and the exchange of money is the central, most important aspect of international relations. And it supersedes and is on all levels more important than the lives of the citizenry, no matter what the government chooses to do to those people. Now, I mean, it's fun to put the little thought bubble of what this asshole has been saying about Canadian truckers and tyranny and Justin Trudeau, package that together with the bullshit that he's allowing to fuzzy pumper barbershop out of the front of his goddamn face. But this is the argument. It doesn't matter how many people Russia kills. It's the stability of the monetary system, even when you know you're dealing with the mob. Because that's what this is. How is New York as a business going to function if you take the mob out? If the mob leaves Vegas, how is it ever going to thrive? And isn't the thriving of Vegas more important than, the occasional person that gets hit with a fucking shovel and buried in the desert? What's a couple of snuffed hookers here and there? That's the argument. That's these two men, and arguably Stu, while he's on his fucking phone over here, are making the case that it does not matter what Russia does to human beings. What's important is that they're allowed to operate freely in the monetary system no matter what the fuck they do. The horrifying immorality of this, not amorality, not the just it's a business, so I don't care. The immorality, the hideous disregard for human life that is on display here is the kind of stuff they accuse people of my ilk of doing all the time, right? I'm supposed to be the person taking God out of the classroom and, driving us away from our Judeo-Christian values, right? That's supposedly what my side is doing. And yet this motherfucker is saying, well, you can look, I realize they're killing all these people and they're planning on killing even more. They're even going to start a purge in their own fucking country. Putin announced that they're going to start purging the disloyal in Russia. There's a huge, flights leaving Russia just fucking went bzzz, like private jets. Everybody was trying to get the fuck out. It was like, I've seen an exodus like that since Afghanistan of private citizens. Like the brain drain that's happening in Russia is enormous right now because these people, and if you're not on the side of the war and you can get a job anywhere else in the world, you're getting the fuck out right now because he's going to kill you. But to Glenn and David Buckner, that doesn't matter. What matters is that there's a lot of money and resources in Russia, and they should be able to dictate part of the market by their existence in it, no matter how evil they become. It doesn't matter. This is like off the charts. This is some 1939 shit.
Default. That was the question of default. Well, now if you're saying, but hold on, if central banks and the reserves can be frozen by...
They're not. Central banks and the reserves are not frozen. Criminal funds on a grand scale can be frozen. Russia's fucking economy is smaller than California's. Europe and the United States and the northern countries and a lot of the developing world that we're involved in will be fine without, even if Russia ceased to exist as an economic force tomorrow, you're talking about $1.5 trillion out of the system. The 2008 crash wiped out $20 trillion worth of worth. 12 Russias vanished. Who gives a fuck? There's not enough resources and worth in Russia. There's not enough output. There are not enough rides to the fucking space station that can come out of Russia to justify this level of killing.
And I can't pay my bills because I can't read.
You can pay your bills, dum-dum. You don't live in Russia unless this is the gripe. Unless what's really we're finding out is both of these dickheads have, I suppose, have investments in Russia or money hidden there.
Source that. Now I don't even know if my resources could be frozen. So all of a sudden,
yeah, they can. Tell you what, David, if you weld a bunch of metal to the side of your truck, turn it into a tank, and drive it into your neighbor's house, opening fire on them because it was always your property to begin with, not only will you be frozen, but all of your assets will be frozen as well. You will be fined, and your livelihood will end because you will go to jail, and all the money that was in circulation will be frozen or passed off to someone else. And oh, by the way, if they can freeze these assets, and these assets just cease to exist in the system, what? Oh no! Meanwhile, what were these assholes saying 2 days ago? We're printing all this money. There's too much money in circulation. That's what's causing inflation. Do you realize that literally, if we eliminated all Russian exchange in euro dollars and in American dollars, that inflation in Europe and the United States would go down? Not a measurable amount because it's not that huge, but it actually would. Just money not in circulation. These assholes are saying there's too much money in circulation, and now they're complaining. Good Lord.
You created a sense that individual countries might be concerned that they can't trust the reserve system to.
They can. You can trust the reserve system if we can trust you not to invade a sovereign country and try to take it over.
Allow them to have access.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait. So when we put sanctions.
Oh my God, Glenn's going to try and figure something out now. Here it comes.
On the money from Iran, that was just held in banks and not a central bank. Is that the difference?
Yeah, that's the difference. Not a central bank. David, explain to him what a central bank is. And then tell him that central banks print money and then go, well, they don't actually print money. They loan money into existence, and when they technically loan that money into existence, the U.S. makes money on the interest on those, whether it's loaned out to Americans or to others. So, for example, the Fed made money on the 2008 crash, and therefore the taxpayer in America made money. Some of the social programs that we all take for granted and want to pay for were paid for in part by money earned on the loans given out to post 2008.
Correct, and they were and those reserves were frozen. Each of these are held in individual banks, or to your point on central banks, it could be in central banks if indeed the country has a centralized bank like China. Okay.
Yeah, we're not freezing Chinese banks that are operating in yuan. What the fuck is that even?
So where they are or where they're frozen is a matter of whether the sanctions can touch them.
Look. If the United States or Europe or Israel or somebody just got a wild hair up their ass tomorrow and told everyone in the Cayman Islands to fuck off because you're getting nuked tomorrow, or Cyprus, where the Bank of Cyprus is, and we're going to hit that and the Caymans, and all the records of all the transactions and all the Cayman Islands banks would be obliterated and vanish like somebody losing their Bitcoin wallet. There would be an enormous shock to the system and the economy. And it would recover almost immediately because people with resources who don't hide their shit in the Cayman Islands would move in and go, those of us that have been operating above board who haven't been able to buy property or do stuff because these fucking crooks have rolled in and purchased LA real estate and New York real estate and commodities and stocks based on bullshit money they created out of nowhere and created a value for and then undercut and then they raise it when they want to buy something and then they lower it when they want to sell it so that they can artificially manipulate the market. Once those people are out of the system, once Putin and his buddies are out of the system, the money that they have someplace, if you freeze it and incinerate it, it helps the dollar.
We've been able to, with the sanctions that have been imposed broadly, not just by the U.S., but other countries, we've been able to
Yes, not just by the United States, but by other countries, because it's a trust system and everyone is engaged in it. This is really getting aggravating.
To freeze the reserves wherever they are by Russian reserves. So now Russia says, hold on, I don't have the money. I can't.
Right. So let's see. I could have the money. if I just stopped murdering people. Sophie's choice.
Get access to my reserves, what do? And here's where it becomes a domino. Other countries look at that and say, I wonder if my reserves could be next. There's your trust.
If you murder people on the scale that Vladimir Putin is, the answer is yes. That's why it's a trust system. That's why it has more value than a gold system. Where in the future is, shit, I have a bunch of gold here. I wonder if they're going to come for my gold next. Since everyone's economy is based on gold, they might roll in here and blow me to fucking smithereens and take my gold. That was always the problem. Holy shit. This is exactly the problem with the gold standard in the first fucking place.
Question. And then secondly, they start to say, okay, if Russia is not going to pay me, are they going to default because they can't get access to their reserves? That's a trust question. And
yes, that's what you get for doing business with murderers. Everybody's got to take it on the chin when that comes.
number three.
Here's how they can make money. I have a good idea. They can stop fucking killing people and get the fuck out of Ukraine. These are not permanent changes. This isn't even occurring to them. This isn't even. Do you recognize? Oh, the sound went. Oh, it cut off again. This motherfucker. Hold on. Let me back up.
And then number three, the question might be, okay, if these things are frozen, how does Russia make money? Well, if they can somehow exchange with China and China takes their commodities, but how is China going to get liquid? How are they going to be able to liquidate enough where they could get liquidity to pay for it? They sell.
Hey, we got 666 people in the chat. That's awesome. It's a good time to give a $6.66 super chat so you can help us buy 666 Fifth Avenue. I know what you're thinking. How? There's no way you could possibly afford 666 Fifth Avenue. Well, neither could Jared Kushner, and it didn't stop him. So help us out. Give a thumbs up. Support the show. Bits, stars, anything helps. Also, the point I was making before the audio dropped out based on this idea is that at no point are they considering the idea, at no point in this negotiation are they suggesting that one of the options open to Russia is to stop the invasion of Ukraine. Why is that not part of it? Why the fuck? Thanks, Mark. Upgrade my audio. I'm trying. I don't know what that's about because it sounds fine to me. It's going out weird. I don't know if, do I need to update this sucker? What's happening? Hold on, let me see am I doing, no, I'm 58%. So I'm not even using up hold on. I'm at 82% of my, let's see. Usually it makes me automatically upgrade or update the software when I'm doing it. Ugh. Excellent. I'm glad, Kelly. I wonder if it's a restream to Twitch thing. Oh, the new Studio Macs look lovely. Film 73. Don't get me started. But the Mac Pro is supposedly coming out. So, I don't know why. I still don't know why they are not presenting. Russia could solve this by just getting the fuck out.
U.S. treasuries. China's holding $1 trillion in U.S. treasuries. Now, tell me, Glenn, you and I both know when you dump something on the market, the price goes down.
Correct.
So,
correct. I understand you've had a sex change. Correct.
if U.S.
It's from The Golden Child. If you've never watched it, you should.
starts to
And yes, my alarm when I wake up is Best Man in the World, the song from the soundtrack. Deal with it.
see that China is dumping treasuries, Russia's got U.S. treasuries. They dump U.S. treasuries.
Other people will buy them because they're stable and worthwhile. Who gives a fuck? Do you know how much money there is in the goddamn world? Do you know how little? The U.S. economy is $26 trillion a year. Goldman Sachs has $5 trillion worth of monetary exchange that goes through their system, just them, every 2 days. Who gives a fuck? If China owns $1 trillion in U.S. securities, or Russia owns $1 trillion, which they don't, in U.S. securities, if they sell them, other people will buy them because there's a limited number of them. God damn.
All of a sudden, our treasuries start
I said, I want the knife. All right.
tank.
That's just for the people in the chat who remember Golden Child.
And what happens? We start to see hyperinflation.
No, we don't. They, in some cases, they sell the treasuries. The price goes down, and the Fed just eliminates them. They just erase them from the books.
So the domino here is not only that trust piece that you identified of a reserve, trust of being able to get money from Russia, but even if we could get money, the method they may use to get that money to pay it could be damaging largely to certain countries when they start to dump the treasuries. And that becomes the problem, kind of the ripple effect. The stone drops, and then you see the ripple in the water.
This, by the way, that's just fucking gibberish.
So, David, I
mean, it's management speak. This is the kind of shit you hear at a boardroom, and everybody goes, "Yeah, that's right, Sam. I know. Dave's got a point. We gotta, 20% is what we gotta look for. But if you're not gonna see that, you're gonna see a blowback. I've seen blowback in all these areas. We've got a ripple in the pond. You throw that stone in the pond, you're gonna see a ripple effect. It's just how it works. I know, Sam. Hey, you don't have to tell me. Business is business. And how could it be? You and I should get along so awfully. Jesus Christ, this is stupid.
tell you how many people I talk to, and I'll talk to them about what the Treasury's own white papers and the Fed's own white papers, the Hamilton Project up in Boston, what they are talking about with a digital currency, which would replace the current currency and be a reset for us.
And here we go. We're 13 minutes, 20 seconds into a 16-minute video, and finally we're getting the book pitch. Alex Jones was, 2 minutes into the last video we did with him, where he was pitching his fucking prepper food? Russell sells his gigs right out of the gate.
Where I talk about, hyperinflation, and people just say it can't happen here. It just won't happen. It won't happen. Nobody has that control. The politicians or whoever won't let that happen. I'm like, wait, but that's what they're telling us.
No, it isn't. By the way, who's they? The Hamilton Project? The people who, all right.
They are going to do.
That's what they're telling us they're going to do. Yes, the World Economic Forum is going to create massive inflation on purpose so as to crater the U.S. economy so they can do a giant reset. That's what he's saying. Which they're not. Fucking hell.
What we're betting on, Glenn, we're betting on the fact that we're the largest consumer in the world, so everybody needs us.
And they do. There you go. This is from 2014. Unlike Jimmy Dore, I'm going to show you that this is not new information. This has been around for a while. No thanks. Demographics is destiny, says this article from The Insider. Epic demographic chart shows what's happening to the populations of US, China, and Japan. And others, by the way. Here they are. So, U.S. population pyramid evolution. Boing, here we go. So this is Japan's population evolution. This is starting in 1990, 2014. It's very small on my screen, so let me blow this up. 2025, 2050. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is Japan, right here on the top. This is Japan in 1990. Pretty sound. I mean, it's starting to taper, but you got enough people, old people. This is the side over here is the age of the population. So here's the tiny needle of people in their hundreds and 80s, and then all the way down to the most people they have are in their 40s over here, right? And then their second group is 15 to 19 years old. Then 2014 comes around. See these little notches in Japan? They've moved up to here, right? See that? That's this group. These two boobs right here are these two boobs right here, okay? They moved up. And this is what they've turned into. This is fewer women and fewer men. Now there's a bubble of men over here. You're going to get that in Asian societies because they're going to sexually select births in some cases. Japan less than China, but there you go. Here's 2025. This is their number right here. Look, this is the aging population. Look at the number of people in their 80s and 90s that are going to survive. Same thing over here in 2050. Look at the number of people in their hundreds that are old enough, to be, getting Social Security or whatever their version of that is, and still be alive versus 1990. Look at that. But look at the young people. Look at the volume of young people supporting this ice cream cone of human beings. Same thing over here. Here's China, 1990. Death rate right about here. Then this ruffle right here becomes this. Then it becomes this. Then it becomes this. Look at this taper right here. The population of China is going to be cut in half by 2050. Some say 2035. And this is old data. This is before they came out and said, actually, we lied. China overcounted their number of 18 to 35-year-olds by about 130 million. All the people who get married and have babies, there's 135 million fewer of those people in China than they were telling everybody. Here's the United States. Look at this. 1990. Here comes the baby boomers rising up, following through this. Look at this shit. 2014. Look at this. Look at 2025. Look at 2050. Look at the volume of human beings here and all age groups. There's a dip where this is Gen X here, but millennials are a giant group. These are, you know who these people are? These are the people. Look at this. Hold on. I got to move out of the way. I got to scroll this up. Hold on. Beg your pardon. Got to shrink this down so you guys can see it. Shit. Why is that? Okay. Here's what I got to do. I got to take this picture and I got to take it off. And then I got to take this picture and I got to move this guy and images. Where's that? Okay. And we open this up and then I can move it around a little bit. Here we go. Sorry. Let me move this over here. There you go. Let me shrink this down a little bit so you can see it a little better. There you go. Here's this China. This is the Chinese population, age-wise. These are, the top is old people, middle is, middle age, bottom is babies and young people. Gotcha? So the bottom is literally 0 to 4. That's this age range right here. Look at their population. Look at Japan's population. By the way, this is true of a shit ton of countries. This is true of Canada. This is true of a lot of other countries. It's not true of Mexico, interestingly enough. But it is true of like most South American countries and the like. Look at the United States in 2050. Look at the population projection. Here we were in 1990. Here's everybody. Look, we didn't look that dissimilar. from these guys. Look at 1990. There's all three of us. There's top one's Japan, middle one's China, bottom one is the US. Population-wise, not all that different. By the time we got around to 2014, China and Japan were staggering. We are filling out. We have, population in the United States is not a problem. We are that consumer base. If you want to sell something in the world, the Americans are going to be the main buyers for the next 40 fucking years. And the Japanese could recover because they're small, and so you can kind of turn it around over time. But a country as large as China, you cannot jerk the wheel on a cruise ship and make it turn on a dime. It does not happen. That's his sort of flippant. They think we're going to be this consumer society. We fucking are. We're it. Russia's looks like this too. And again, this is shit from 2014 when these jackasses were telling we were believing the population figures from China, which we now know were largely inflated to make it look better for them. And this isn't even including COVID, because look, there's no way China, if their population is anywhere close to the number that they're saying, lost less than 17 million people to COVID. No country with 1.4 billion people does zero tolerance about a disease if it's only killed 4,000 people. What are you talking about? Who does that? How can I find anything online? I wonder if he ever loses his keys. My keys have one of those Apple Pod, the chips on them, so it has a locator. But I also hang them up when I get in the house, so I know what I'm doing. All right. Anyways, these dickheads. This whole story about they think because we're going to be consumers that they'll be able to blah blah blah. That's exactly what's going on. Jesus.
I think that's a risky bet, but we are, okay?
I think that's a risky bet, but we are.
We don't pay our bills fully. I mean, we pay.
Nobody does. No, hey, you guys know anybody that pays off their house every year? Gets a new house? In general? Anybody? In kitchen table economics? Anybody that settles their entire bills when they sit around the kitchen table? And if the government only ran its situation like a family does, we would have almost exactly the same kind, just on a scale that we have in the federal government. Some things we would prorate over time, like a mortgage. Other things we would invest more in because of what it gets back. If our house got robbed or we were afraid we were in danger, we'd buy a gun or a dog or a security system. And if the security system failed to protect us one particular time, we'd upgrade it, even if it cost us more money, and the subscription service and all that kind of stuff. There's defense spending. If the structure of our infrastructure in general, if we were worried about the quality of that, there were holes in the roof and we didn't have the money, we would take out equity on the house to pay for that, because if we don't patch it, all the worth of the house goes away. But
then we run our debt, and then we raise our debt ceiling. So that's number one.
We raise our debt ceiling because we're taking in more money. You raise your debt ceiling. You probably have a bigger mortgage on a bigger house if you doubled your salary in a year, over 10 years. Let's say you were making, $250,000 a year. Great. In the year 2000. In the year 2010, you're making $500,000 a year. And the house you bought in 2000 costs $250,000. You make that every year, but you got a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage or in the case of the government, a 10-year mortgage. But let's say 15. So you got a 15-year mortgage on a $250,000 house in 2000 when you're making $250,000 a year. And in 2010, you're making $500,000 a year. And the house you're in needs some upgrades for security, for safety. You've got nicer things, so you need a better security system. You got to have a stronger roof. You also want to make not just aesthetic changes. You want to switch. You want a solar system and a battery backup. You want a charging system in your house and those kind of things. So you go shopping for a house and you shop for a $500,000 house. You've raised the debt ceiling for yourself on your home 100%. Would anybody go, oh shit, man, you only make $500,000 a year. You're going to buy a $500,000 house? Mm-hmm. And that's just with a $500,000. If you make $500,000 a year, do you think most people making $500,000 a year own a $500,000 house? Seriously. Good Lord.
We're betting on the fact that the dollar still has significant value because
it does.
So many countries are holding it. And we think, well, you're holding our dollar if you devalue.
It's not holding it. It's trading in it because they trust it.
What you guys are going to hurt yourselves. That's a risky bet. They could go into they could either go commodity based or somebody could really.
Yeah. How do you get out of commodities once you're in commodities? Do those commodities, do they have a stable worth? How much? What are you going to do? Have a warehouse full of fucking corn for how long? Coffee? Frozen concentrated orange juice?
Get aggressive here and play cryptocurrency game and move completely out of the dollar. Right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, crypto. Go that route. Because and again, anybody who's like, you got to be in gold because gold has real money, who then goes to cryptocurrency, which is fucking fart air and can be hacked out of existence. You can't hack gold out of existence. Alchemy has yet to turn lead into gold or gold into lead.
And then the third part is we're betting on the fact that we're strong. We're the global police officers. Well, we've had a couple of events this year that.
No, we're not. Global police officer is, and by the way, if we don't protect your system, you have to, and that's a lot of your money.
Haven't manifest.
By the way, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Infotainmentwars.com. Like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up today. Help support the show. All that kind of stuff. So I set a timer. I did the timer again. So there you go. I did a little timer on my Elgato Stream Deck so that I know it lets me know when I should remind you guys again to like and subscribe. I'm so professional these days.
Our ability to really rise up and be trusted in that area to where we're not being seen as that strength that they can.
The fuck we aren't. Where do you think the javelins came from? And if you want a no-fly zone, you got to join NATO early. You can't dick around for decades. You got to actually do it. You can't go, I need NATO now. It's like, it can't be like phoning in and ordering AAA while you have a flat. I'm going to sign up for AAA and then cancel it 2 days later. You got a 10-day introductory period. Well, you can't call in anything in the 10 days because you're just cheating the system. I get AAA, and they told me, and then I canceled it 30 days later.
So those have been the three things that we're kind of going to the market with some swagger, saying, you know what? You can't afford to allow us to have hyperinflation. You're not going to dump the dollar. You're not going to dump treasuries. In reality.
Yeah. P.S. What kind of vacuum does he believe these other economies exist in where they're not having inflation too? Yeah, that's the other part of this whole conversation, beyond the fact that they're like, Russia has no part in just fucking off from Ukraine. There's no discussion about the economic factors in other countries, the pressure on the euro, supply shock, all the other aspects of current inflation that are not monetary at all.
You're starting to see many of them kind of on the sidelines doing it without us paying a lot of attention to
Correct.
it in a way. Could it be immediate? I don't think it's going to be immediate because they're holding too many of our dollars. But over time, you're going to start seeing them divest themselves, just like Russia and China are doing.
Yes, just like Russia and China are doing. That's what they're doing. They're divesting from the dollar. They're not invading sovereign countries and committing genocide on people living in their own countries. No, 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 no. They're divesting from the trust system.
Treasuries to liquidate and get out of dollars.
So
when they do that, we're only betting on, hey, we're
Sonic the hedge fund. Quit it.
consumers. You need us. And at that point, I'm not sure we've got a leg to stand on that is as firm as we think we have.
how much time do I have, sir? I have 1 minute. There's a
Yeah, it's not going to be enough, Glenn. You don't understand what the fuck you're talking about, and he's talking circles. He's talking in circles and saying shit that has zero meaning. And also, you're both engaged in the most immoral discussion about the lack of value of human life that I've ever seen on broadcast television, if that's indeed what this is.
so many questions I have. I saw something
Yes, well, he can't answer them, so just go to break.
frightening
Shouldn't you be selling gold?
yesterday, and perhaps I don't understand it.
You don't. I guarantee it. I don't even know what you're going to bring up, but I think everybody in my chat room at this point knows that this guy is talking out of his ass, and you think it's an inhaler.
But they're saying if Russia defaults, there won't be enough liquidity to cover the CDOs. And that's what caused all the problem in 2008, right?
This is analogous, Glenn. It's analogous, but it is a much larger institutional piece of which I'm not sure China and others would want to see Russia default. Seeing so many.
Oh, God. Again, Glenn, let me put this in terms that maybe you and some of these other dickheads can understand. Russia is currently defaulting on the value of human life. Russia has missed a payment on not bombing maternity hospitals. Russia's currency has lost value against the corpses that are just being covered in a light and shallow graves in Mariupol. You fucking dick. Russia is defaulting on the moral scale. Why the fuck again, and this is a constant refrain from Glenn Beck and others like this, that it's my side of the aisle that believes in moral ambiguity, this incredible gray area around morals, that we don't believe in the depth of Judeo-Christian values, or even fucking hell, that we're not pro-life. This is effectively, and we have just watched, the least pro-life discussion I have ever seen. And this is two guys they might as well be in a cigar shop, in a back room, sitting in a leather chair, drinking a scotch, talking about exactly how much is a kidney worth. I mean, cash on the barrelhead. It's gross. And I mean, beyond just the fucking hypocrisy of it. First of all, it's ignorant bullshit. Like, just on a material level. Like, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about in terms of the topic itself. Even the dude had to walk back. They think we're these big consumers, and we are. But I don't know how long that'll last. It'll last for at least 30 fucking years, dum-dum. Because it ain't lasting anywhere else. Jesus Christ. I'm flabbergasted. I'm completely amazed that they managed to get through 16 minutes of that shit without ever suggesting that one of the economic turns that could be taken is Russia getting the fuck out of Ukraine. And that the trust in the system is based on the behavior of the nation states, not just where they park their fucking cash. This is gross. Yeah, it's a tithe of 10 bodies, right? Man. And again, this is an argument that Russell Brand has been making. This is an argument that Jimmy Dore just made. And none of them are taking into account that Russia could just fuck off. This is it's the quickest out in all of this. Vladimir Putin could literally go, this was a mistake, everybody out. You can have Donbass and Crimea back. This was terrible. I was completely in the wrong. Too many innocent people are dying. I can't deal with it anymore. I'm stepping down. Somebody else has to take over. Russia's too valuable a country for an asshole like me to run it. Like, that never occurred to them as a possibility. Why would it? Holy hell. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm like, when I get a clip like that and I have to go through the whole goddamn thing, like, some of these are infuriating. And I think you guys will remember, I posted it a while back. I have a picture of me with Glenn Beck at Politicon years ago, 2015, some shit like that, the one and only time I was invited. And that was before I even did this show, so God knows what'll happen now. But I have a picture with Glenn, and I was joking at the table. I was talking to like Robert Davi, who's a big Trumper, and I was making people laugh, as I do. And I managed to make everyone laugh backstage except Anna Kasparian, who was so angry that I was supporting Hillary that I was just too much of a neocon monster to laugh at my jokes. And I have a picture with Glenn. And I'm smiling in the picture because I was like, this fucking guy. But Glenn went like this because he literally did not know whether he can afford to later be seen smiling in a picture with someone he doesn't know. No matter how that person was with them on an interpersonal level. Because if somebody went, here's a picture of you smiling with Al Sparks, clearly he went, so he could just hide the fact that he was laughing at my jokes 2 seconds ago. It's a fraud. And not only is he a fraud, but the immorality in this particular take is next level. I mean, fuck pro-life. I mean, at this point, come on. The irony is that they might as well be talking about the cost of adrenochrome and selling baby parts. Human F being, it was, I showed the picture last summer, I think. I'll show it again sometime. I don't have it here on this system. Yeah, but I was there in 2015. But I don't want to hear anything about fucking pro-life from this dickhead or any of his guests ever again.